it's Monday again. I didn't post a video last week, so the first thing I'm going to do is post last week's video, and then we will start up with this week. So here's last week's. Hello there. It's Friday again. Mike and I are... No, it's not Friday again. It's Monday again. I did that last Monday. It's Monday again. We're down at the shed. We used our lights for our Pictures with Santa event we did this Saturday. So we're plugging them back in. We have the box here that we're going to start painting on, or continue painting on is probably the correct word. And I talked to Mike earlier, and we have decided to experiment a little bit, and instead of spraying this cabinet like we did the last one, we're going to do it all in roller. So we're going to roller on another coat of primer and then top coat that with a couple of coats of white, and then we'll let that dry for a week, and we'll put on a coat or put on the stencil and put the next two coats on. So that's the plan, and we're going to see how that turns out. Because of this shop, and I think I've shown you guys this before, the shop is loaded with a lot of other stuff. Spray painting in here is a bit problematic. We think we have a solution for it, but we don't want to count on that necessarily. And the weather, now that it's getting toward December, is getting such that we really don't have any option but to do it inside. And so the roller solves that problem. We can roller paint anytime, and we don't have to worry about damaging any of this stuff in here. So if this works out well, it may become the standard, but for now this is an experiment. I guess worst comes to worst, we can always sand it down and paint over it, right, Mike?
That's correct.
So we'll bring you back when we get the lights turned on and get to sanding. Looking pretty good. So that's it for our first coat of primer, our only coat of primer for tonight. We're going to let this dry, and then we're going to put a coat of regular white paint on top of that. We did use up the last of the primer, just kind of smearing it in here. It looks like something a kindergartner would have done, but it got rid of the stuff. Our plan is to just grab a can of spray enamel paint and just come along and spray in here to lighten it up. We're really not trying to paint the inside so much as just trap the dirt and dust and give us a little bit lighter area when we're installing our transformers and power supplies in here. This paint does definitely cover much better than the primer did.
trying this, but it's the back.
You need to hit this side right here,
Okay, yeah.
because when you hit this edge, it raises up on this side.
Where?
All along here. All right.
You know what I mean? A lot of latex paints are way thicker. This looks like it would spray really well. But that bridge is crossed.
It's overkill.
It probably is. Did you read the drying time on this one?
No, but I will.
This is so silly. It's all going to be covered with that black plastic.
Yep. T-molding.
Well, our paint is drying in the other room, and I don't think it's going to get dry tonight, so we can put a second coat on, or should I say a third coat, since we had a coat of primer on there too. So we've gone back to this machine. We had a little problem. You guys will remember a couple of weeks ago we put labels on all these wires. Well, as it turned out, I accidentally used some sort of removable label stock, and over the last couple of weeks they have been removing themselves and falling on the floor. So we've come along, and you can see Mike has put some Scotch tape over all the ones that were still on there, and now we're going to have to buzz out these wires and find all of the ones that the labels have fallen off of. So it's a pretty dull piece of work. I mean, it's just going to be looking at a label and saying, oh, this switch, and then stepping through each of the wires on the end and trying to find which one it is. And I'm not sure I'm going to get any footage of us doing this, because it's going to take two guys holding probes, one on each end, to do the buzzing, and we only have two of us here tonight. So anyway, we'll maybe step back and show you this, but that's about it. So we'll be back in a bit. Bye bye.
Left, middle, rollover.
So what's on this side?
That side, middle, rollover.
There we go. And that's what it takes to find them and label them, and rinse and repeat about a dozen times. Okay, we managed to track down all those wires. We did find a couple of switches that we failed to connect up, and we tied a couple of pigtails on there so we won't miss them. The other day we found this ground wire wasn't hooked up, and I just need to run a wire from there to hook that to ground. And then we have this one tilt slam switch that we haven't installed yet, so that needs to get installed, hooked up to ground, and a signal line run for it. But that's it. So we got that all cleaned up. It's getting kind of late, so we're going to clean up our paint mess and call it a night. So I really appreciate you guys watching, and we will have something next week for you, hopefully. Okay. So Mike and I are here. We're getting ready to do the stencil painting. Let me flip the camera around so I can look at the box, and I'll show you where we dropped off at. So where we stopped was with a fairly nicely painted white cabinet and back box. All of the notches and dings have been puttied over, primed and repainted. We're going to start with a little quick spray paint of white in the inside just to make that a little clearer. Then we're going to, which one did we decide? The red. We're going to start with the red, and we're going to put the red stencils around here. We're going to attempt to get the stencils down and get 2 coats of paint on it tonight. So we'll see how that works. We'll bring you back as we're doing the stencils. So we're putting down the stencil right now. There's a lot of videos out on YouTube on how to do this. So, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what we did. We laid the thing out on here, got it aligned. We peeled back about 6 inches of the carrier on the bottom and stuck this part down. And now we're just carefully pulling about 6 inches at a time and flattening it out and working our way down the table, getting the stencil put down. And that's it. And we'll continue that all the way down to the end. And then once we're there, we'll peel off this carrier on the top, leaving just the stencil down. Okay, we've got the vinyl on the front and the right side, and this is the red layer, so we're going to be painting red on here. We had originally planned to do the whole box, but we decided that this vinyl is not adhering very well to the case, and we're afraid that if we turn it over, we'll muck up the vinyl we've already put on. So we've decided just to play it safe and just paint these 2 surfaces right now, let it dry, maybe get a second coat on, and then we'll move to the other side. We've been having a miserable time with this particular stencil kit because the transfer medium will not let go. It is 10 times as sticky as the vinyl is to the cabinet. So it's been really difficult to get this on. And all we're doing now is masking up a little bit of the spots where the vinyl doesn't go all the way to the bottom, and it shouldn't have any colored paint there. So that's it. We'll go ahead and mix up a little batch of paint. We're going to put this on with a roller just like we did the other layers. So we'll probably bring you back in the midst of that process.
That's it for now.
Okay.
So, while the paint is drying, we decided to go back and engineer some changes to the back glass area. And our plan is to add quite a bit of LED lighting to these things. And we're going to put most of the LED lighting on the front of this panel as opposed to on the back the way the old box was done. We're going to use a little bracket that comes up 3/4 of an inch, which is the height of these little pieces right here, and sticks back about 1.5 inches and runs this length. And I was just about to measure that. So I'm going to think that 9.5 inches, we could maybe do it with 9, but let's go 9.5. So 9.5. So we're going to 3D print a bracket that just comes across here and up. We could just use aluminum angle iron, except then we would have to worry about the LED shorting out against it and how to insulate it and stuff. And we decided it'd be just easier just to 3D print them. So we're going to print the bracket, and this is actually going to accomplish two things. One, it's going to allow the light from the LEDs to get closer to this and to illuminate them, and we're going to put one on the top and one on the bottom, and this bottom one's going to be a little more difficult to design because we're going to have to leave space in here for this to hold, and it'll probably bolt down and hold down with these bolts. So anyway, that's the plan for now. I'll design that up and print that during this coming week, at least one set, and then we'll try it out next week. So anyway, as I was saying, there was two things that this would do for us. One, it'll let us get the LEDs closer, and it will also allow us to mount LEDs facing up in this area and this area to let us light up more of the back glass area and do things that we want to do, because right now, like, these three lights are actually in these holes right here. So anyway, that's our plan. We're going to just play with this and get this laid out, and after about an hour of mucking around with this, we'll go back and put another coat of paint on. Okay, we're back with the table up on here. I should apologize for the lighting. Our bright lights are in the other room where we're putting the where we're doing the painting. So we're just dealing with the overhead fluorescence in here right now. But we kind of finished with our design work on the box there. We decided to wait until we had our brackets 3D printed before we continued on with any more on that. So we're stepping back to this. I don't remember if I've showed this before, but we missed wiring a couple of switches. So when we went through here, I marked them with little tags to show that there's one there, there's one here, there's a ground wire missing over here, and we never installed the slam tilt switch here, even though Mike doesn't really believe in tilting, but we decided that we would go ahead and install that and wire it up. So while we're waiting for paint to dry, we're going to go ahead and finish up these missed wires real quick. So we've finished adding the wires. I also made a little change here. I found one of these connectors broken. So I put one of our new style on there, so hopefully that'll hold better. But the switches, there's one we just wired up. The other one is right there. And then back over here we have the slam tilt switch and the ground wire added to the relay switches. So that's it. We are relatively sure that every switch on this playfield now has a wire attached to it, and it's just up to me to get the connector installed on the end, get it hooked up to the computer, and start playing with it. So we've put the second coat of paint on this, just rolled it on, and we're going to call that good enough. So after that dries, we can peel those stencils off. We also put a stencil on the right side of the back box and put the first coat of paint on it. We're going to flip it over, put the other stencil on and coat it, and then hopefully in about a half an hour or so we'll come back and put a second coat on it. So when you buy the stencils for these things, they come on big sheets, and this is a sheet for red, and they are clearly marked that this is for the left side red stencil, and the one he just cut off was the red stencil for the back box. So we just have to trim it close to the edge so that we can put it up against the box when we put it on, and I'll bring you back and show you that before we paint it this time. So this carrier paper is really sticky, and we've figured out that if we push down right on top of where it's peeling off, it won't pull the vinyl up with the or at least it won't pull it up quite so badly. When we did the main body, what are we calling it now?
The cabinet.
The cabinet. When we did the cabinet, we had a lot of problem with the letters pulling up. So we're trying really hard to keep the letters in place.
Do you want to cut it?
Yeah, I think so. Let me get it off of this little piece of stuff that's running down here, and then all we should have is that long stretch to worry about.
Be careful up here.
Okay, yeah.
You're lifting up pretty good.
Masking tape. So we were going to put a second coat on this tonight, but the paint isn't quite dry enough. As a matter of fact, you can see Mike's fingerprints right there. And this was the first side that we painted. Unfortunately, we set it down like that side down there and it didn't get any air, so it didn't dry. So we're going to call it a night, and we will come back sometime, maybe in the middle of the week, and put another coat on this, and then strip the vinyl off of this, and get ready to do the other side. So that's it for tonight. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll try to get these 2 weeks worth of videos posted up in the very near future. Of course, it's moving on toward Christmas time now. Thanksgiving's over with. There's just been so much activity that time has been at a real premium. But hopefully I'll get some time to get this posted.